YouTube! So today I thought I'd show you guys how I decorated these mason jars that I thought would be perfect for holding your pencils or makeup brushes or just anything really. It can even be a flower vase. And it was all inspired by these mason jars actually that I purchased on Etsy. But after I purchased them, I realized that they were so expensive, and once I got them, I was like, this is so simple, let me just make them myself. So here is the tutorial. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is just sand down the jar. You don't really have to do this just because these cups aren't meant for drinking or anything. They're more for decoration, so it's not like you're gonna wash it. So there's no need to really make the paint stick on because it will anyway. So you can sand it down, you don't really have to, but since I bought sandpaper already, I just decided to sand it. So go ahead and use whatever paint you decide to choose. I chose these Martha Stewart ones just because anything Martha Stewart just seems legit. I don't know, that's kind of stupid, but hey. So once you clean the jar off, just go ahead and take your paintbrush to paint your jar. It doesn't have to be perfect, just kind of go whichever direction you want and just kind of slather the paint on. If you want to be more precise, go ahead and make everything go one direction. But since I'm going for that vintage old look, I'm just slathering the paint on however I want. And by the way, I thought I'd just let you guys know that I do not recommend these Martha Stewart brushes, even though I just said everything Martha Stewart just seems legit, but girl, not for these because they were shedding like crazy. So I highly recommend you look for other brushes instead of these because they were pretty pricey and honestly not really worth the money to me. So as I was waiting on the blue jar to dry, I'm just going to start on my bigger one, which I decided to paint yellow, and you're just pretty much going to repeat the same process. Okay, so now I'm going back to my blue jar and applying a second layer. You don't have to apply a second layer, I just chose to because I wanted my jar to be more opaque. So if you want your jar to be more transparent, then just skip this part. So before I started this project, I researched it a little and I saw that a lot of people actually do paint the inside of the jar for this look, but I decided to paint the outside because I wanted to distress it a little bit and because I might use this as a vase for flowers and I didn't want the water to ruin the paint, so that is why I painted the outside. But if you want to paint the inside, go ahead, but I do think that painting the inside will be a lot harder, just saying. While I was waiting for the jars to dry, I'm just going to prep my fake flowers. So you need your fake flowers, a wire cutter, and some glue. Basically, what you want to do with your flower is to just flatten it out like this. Now you're just going to pick the flower you want from the bunch and take your wire cutter to snip it off from the wire stem. And then after you have your flower, you're going to try to invert it and push out that metal piece that's holding the flower together. If you leave that in there, it's going to make the flower pop up and you don't want that. So just keep pushing and pushing until that wire piece comes out. So now that you remove the wire piece, you probably notice that nothing is holding your flower together. So here goes the annoying part where you have to glue every single petal back together. After a few hours, it's time for you to distress the jar, which is my favorite part, but if you want to just leave your jar like this and not distress it, that's totally fine. So I'm just taking my sandpaper and I'm just going to sand little bits and pieces of my jar. And you want to just use a light hand for this part so you don't accidentally rip off too much of the paint. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up if you did, and check out my previous videos to the left, or check out my vlogs to the box on the right. Thanks guys, I'll see you on my next video, which will be on Friday.